Good morning and welcome to Tingley Beach. I'm Holly Kasman and I'm the manager for Tingley Beach and the aquarium. And I want to welcome you all here today to honor Bob Gerding and his family by naming this beautiful catch and release lake after him. Back in 2005, when we first reopened the new and improved Tingley Beach, Bob and his friend TJ Trout were appointed by the mayor as the Citizens Task Force Committee for Tingley Beach. This was due to their propensity for going straight to the mayor with their ideas for the beach, circumventing biopark staff who most likely would have tried to talk them out of it. Seriously, back in 2005, one of their big complaints, I remember Bob thinking there were entirely too many trees and shrubs around the lake, posing a hazard for fishermen on their backcast. And I remember walking around the lake with him while he was pointing out to me which trees needed to come down. And this was within weeks of them having been planted there in the first place. Another big issue for him was the restrooms. They thought that the train station was too far for most fishermen to walk, and that they might choose to relieve themselves in the shrubbery instead, prompting complaints from families with small children. You know, they were actually right about this one, and as a result we now have porta potties here. Increasingly frustrated by the number of poachers that would come to the lake after dark, they had ideas for motion detectors with lights and alarms, and I think I even heard them mention having snipers in deer stands in the bosque, although they may have been kidding about this one. Anyway, with all due respect and its seriousness, Bob was a great advocate for the biopark. He promoted us every week on his 94 Rock fishing report and invited us to the show every year to set up a booth. He taught me to fly fish, as he did with so many others, showing endless patience as we lost flies, tangled our lines, hooked up in the bushes, and worst of all, lost fish. We are delighted to name this catch and release lake after him. And I thank you all very much for coming this morning. Now I'd like to introduce Mayor Richard Berry.
I just couldn't be more honored and humbled to be here today. I'll tell you what, this is one of the great spots in America right here, and I say that, you know, we're all proud of our hometown and all the great things in Albuquerque, but the idea of having an urban fishery in your city and having a place where people can come out, and you can see today on National Free Fishing Day how many folks are here, but just on a daily basis how many people's lives are positively impacted by this place. It's just absolutely amazing, and to have a refuge like this in the middle of a 30th largest city in America is really a testament to everybody, Bob included. You know, my grandpa taught me in Nebraska, where I grew up, he taught me how to bass fish, and we'd fish for bluegill and, you know, bobbers and worms and net spinners and all the things that you do when you're in the Midwest. But when I came to New Mexico, and I'd fallen in love with New Mexico through Philmont Boy Scout Ranch as a teenager, and wanted to be a mountain man. You know, I wanted to be in a place where there were mountains, and so when I moved here, it was Bob Gerding that taught me how to fly fish, like so many others. And Harriet and I were just talking, if you planted a tree for everybody that Bob taught how to fish, you'd have a new bosque. I mean, it would be an amazing thing. But Maria, my wife, is you know, we don't have as much time as we used to have, obviously, with public service. But we'd spend our weekends up in northern New Mexico, whether it's at Shirley Lakes or on the Cimarron or in Coyote Creek. You know, I mean, you know, there's, you know, Morphe Lake, wherever it happens to be, and we'd fly fish, and we would, and so Bob taught my wife Maria as well. And we were out there, like you were saying earlier, in the city park. There was no water to be seen for miles, but we're out there on the grass, you know, doing our thing, and Bob was very patient with everybody. But he, you know, the thing about Bob that was interesting, I thought, because I'd been through athletics at the university and I'd had a lot of good coaches in my life, he was a great coach. I mean, from the standpoint of, he's a great outdoorsman, certainly, but he was a great coach, and he was a great life coach for a lot of people as well. And you know, he's well known obviously as a great ambassador for the outdoors, but he was a great conservationist as well. And one of the things you learn if you're a sportsman, if you like to hunt and fish, is that many of the great conservationists throughout history are sportsmen. And Bob was certainly that. And he was just a wonderful ambassador for our state and for outdoorsmanship, for fishing and just anything to do with outdoors. And so when I got a chance as mayor, you know, you get to do a lot of cool things when you're the mayor. And people ask you to do things, but no more thrill for me than when Bob asked me to be on this program, on his show when we went up to Heron Lake and we were trout fishing up there. And you know, I felt like when I was a kid, I was watching, you'd watch Kurt Gowdy, and I remember watching all the great, you know, outdoor shows when you're a kid. And for me, that's really, I'll be honest with you, I'm being very straightforward with you. That's probably one of the greatest thrills I've had since I got a chance to be the mayor. Was just going up with Bob, and Dick was there, and we stayed overnight and had one of those classic days, you know, where you get to talk to a couple salty dogs and about their experiences and all the things that they've done throughout their lives, and then you get to go out and enjoy one of God's greatest creations and just be out there, and it's just awesome. So I just it's appropriate what we're doing here today. It's the right thing what we're doing here today for Mike and Patrick and Harriet and Dick and everybody else and all the family and friends that are here. You should be very proud. Bob left a great legacy, and this is a great way to honor that. And I'm just really thrilled that you'd have me come out for just a few minutes and participate. So thank you and appreciate it.
Well, first of all, thank you all very much for being here to the dedication of the Bob Gerding Catch and Release Pond at Tingley Beach. It's really interesting how this came about. In fact, I was getting my tire fixed, and I was listening to the Bob Clark KKOB show, and TJ Trout was on the show, and they were talking about what a great place this place is, and I'm a regular down here. And TJ made the comment, wouldn't it be great to name the Catch and Release Pond after Bob Gerding? And so I heard that and I thought, wow, that's a great idea. So the first thing I did is I called the KKLB show and I just said, look, I'm going to try to make that happen. Then my second call was to Jessica, my policy analyst. I said, Jessica, isn't this a great idea? Okay. And then we started working on it, and it is amazing. We worked with the city councilor, Ike Benton's district, and we got it done. So it's very exciting. And so we're very excited to be here. I'm very excited about this. Is when you do legislation, this was a unanimous vote from the city council. Everybody thought what a fabulous idea to name the Catch and Release after Bob Gerding. And so that's how we're here today. And thank you very much for everybody for being here. I'm excited about it. And so now I want to turn the program over to Harriet, Bob's wife. So come on up.
Thank you. Mayor Berry, Councilman Winter, this is a wonderful day. And thank you so much for making it happen. Everyone with the city has just been absolutely marvelous to me and my family, and I really appreciate it. The dedication of this pond is so special. Bob loved this area, as everybody has said, and this is a perfect day to have it, Free Fishing Day. Bob always encouraged everyone to come out on Free Fishing Day. These ponds are truly what Bob envisioned, as you all said. Holly said, he and TJ worked a lot on trying to get this to happen. And this plaque will be an everlasting tribute to him and to what a special person he was. And I'd like to introduce my son Patrick. TJ couldn't be with us today, but he's here in spirit, and he sent a message to everyone, and Patrick will read it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. As Mom said, TJ Facebook messaged me earlier this week and said, I'm sorry I can't be here. I'll be there in spirit. And since it was TJ Trout, I asked, which spirit is that, TJ? But he did send along a few words, and I to preface TJ, Dad started on the radio working through that 20 some odd years ago, and the most surprising thing about Dad being on the radio was the friendship that they developed between TJ and my father. I don't think anybody would have picked those two to put them together, but they were fast friends, and TJ was an amazing advocate for both my dad and the ponds, and I wish he could be here. What he had to say, he said, Bob Gerding was an honorable man. Think of how few people you can say that about. He has many legacies. You can talk about his love and respect for the outdoors, the countless number of people and children he taught to fly fish, and his involvement in community issues and events. But above all, he was a man who led by example. I have personally seen him change the lives of many people for the better, including my own. This dedication is a fitting honor for Bob, a lasting tribute that recognizes his accomplishments and his deep love for the sport of fishing. It was my honor to know him. So thanks to TJ for sending those along, and thanks to everyone for being here. It's as Bob's youngest son, it's a real privilege to know that other children like me will have the opportunity in their lives to cast in his shadow here and to learn from him. Thank you. I'd like to thank you also for being here, and I really would like to thank the mayor and city councilman and Jessica for all the work that they've done. They have been amazing. I do want to say that I think this was a particularly special place for Dad. I can remember, I live in Denver now, and during the time that he and TJ were working with the city on this, I would call home and to check in, and every time I would call, I got an update on Tingley. And the first time I came down after the ponds were open, we were in the car and we came down to see the ponds and to see what had been built. And I think he saw it as a real legacy. Obviously Dad had a real love for fly fishing, but he had a love for fishing in general and loved teaching fishing. And what he saw for Tingley and for this entire biopark was a legacy that would extend beyond fishing, but to teach kids about conservation, not just in the catch and release park, but to teach them about how fishing worked and how important that was. And I think he saw that as something that really could last a very, very long time, and it's been an amazing success. And we're thrilled as a family to have that continue in his name. And thanks so much again to the city and to all of you for being here. Let me turn it back to these guys. Thanks again very much.
Thank you. We're going to now do the unveil. We have the plaque here. It is a temporary plaque. The permanent one is being made, and then this will be presented to the family.
And right after that, Dick's going to lead us on a swim, right, Dick, across the lake and back. Just one lap, man.
I'll tell you, Mayor, what I'm going to do. Anybody that wants to stay around and learn how to cast in the wind is free to do so.
All right. Here. There, hop in there. I'll get on the other side over here.
Oh yeah, probably right.
It's not a swim.
Probably right.
And then they're going to play it on America's Funniest Video.
They told us to be careful, though. Just peel it back that way.
Ready? On three.
Let's go, Harriet. You ready?
1, 2, 3.